Not the Freedom Day anyone could envisage. Not a celebration in sight. Empty streets and restaurants. Deserted public spaces.
There is no person who does not want to return to work and to normal life. There is no company that does not want to reopen its doors for normal economic activity. And there is no student who does not want to return to their classrooms and to their studies. Yet we are all called upon at some time in our lives to make great sacrifices for our own future and for the future of others. There are times when we must endure hardship and difficulty so that we can enjoy freedom and prosperity into the future.
Being robbed of your freedom, something many remember.
It was very difficult, and what was in fact important in that particular context, whilst the police came at night to take you out for interrogation, within the day then you had to decide on yourself to develop a program or routine. But it was really a situation where one needed to adapt, because otherwise one could have gone to the point where you might get too frustrated and not been able to focus. But for me, in the just about 2 or 3 days after that, I started to set up a routine, but it was in fact in a cell, almost like a toilet. That was the size of the cell.
But the current situation is in stark contrast to the state of emergency of the 80s.
One need to understand this is in fact for the collective. What I mean by that, it's for the country and for all of us as a society to survive. The difference then was we were in fact put in lockdown because it was to uphold a system, a security threat. Today it's a health threat. And for that matter, as society, if we want to survive, we need then to obligate with this kind of regulations. And obviously the difference is in fact it's a state of disaster, whilst in the 80s it was in fact a state of emergency being led by an apartheid government.
Lulamile Mate was detained on Robben Island in the 1970s while still a high school student. He says not enough has changed post-apartheid.
Very young when we were incarcerated on Robben Island, and then when we were there, we met different people. We invested all in our time, people like Mandela and others. And then the different scenario in Robben Island was totally different because we were incarcerated. There was no movement as you usually do when we were outside.
Residents of Port Elizabeth hope life will be better after lockdown.
Yes, I would say that we have achieved freedom, although there are many aspects of freedom that we have not achieved, especially economic freedom. I would say that there are some who have achieved economic freedom, but the vast majority, I would say 90% of the people have not achieved freedom. In fact, they are struggling economically.
After 94, we qualified to do everything in sport, specific in sport. Now, Mandela did something after return from the jail, spent 20-something years in jail. So during 94 means a lot. Everything have been changed, slightly changed, but 100% change with sport. It's just that now there are slightly politics specific in sport, but it changed.
South Africans are anxiously awaiting the data regulation for level 4. Every small bit of freedom returned will be cherished. Lerato Fekisi, SABC News, Port Elizabeth.